Picture this. Martha, a vibrant 68-year-old grandmother, collapsed in her kitchen while preparing Sunday dinner for her family. The paramedics rushed her to the hospital, where doctors discovered she had been slowly poisoned, not by some sinister plot, but by common items sitting right in her kitchen drawers and cabinets. Items she trusted and used every single day. What if I told you that your kitchen, the heart of your home where you've prepared thousands of meals for people you love, might be harboring hidden dangers that become increasingly threatening as we age? Our bodies change as we grow older. Our immune systems weaken. Our ability to fight off toxins diminishes. And suddenly, things that didn't bother us before can pose serious risks to our health and well-being. Today, I'm going to walk you through 15 toxic kitchen items you should consider removing from your home immediately. If you're over 60, these aren't just minor inconveniences. These are items that medical professionals and scientific researchers have identified as potentially dangerous for seniors. But don't worry, for every problem, I'll share a simple, affordable solution that you can implement today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and how to create a safer kitchen environment. And make sure you stay until the very end, because the last item on our list is something virtually no one talks about, yet it might be the most dangerous thing in your kitchen right now. Item number 1, non-stick cookware with scratches. Those convenient non-stick pans might be making your life easier, but if they're scratched, they could be making you sick. Take Richard, a 73-year-old retired teacher who couldn't understand why he kept having respiratory issues and flu-like symptoms. During a routine checkup, his doctor asked about his cookware. Richard mentioned his beloved non-stick pans that he'd been using for over a decade, pans that were visibly scratched and worn. Here's why this matters. Most older non-stick cookware contains chemicals called PFOA and PFAS that can release toxic fumes when overheated and can flake off into your food when the surface is damaged. For seniors with already compromised immune systems, these toxins can cause respiratory problems, flu-like symptoms, and even contribute to more serious conditions over time. The solution is simple. Inspect all your non-stick cookware. If you see any scratches, chips, or peeling, it's time to let them go. Replace them with stainless steel, cast iron, or ceramic options, which are more durable and don't release toxic chemicals when damaged. If you must use non-stick, look for newer PFOA-free versions and replace them at the first sign of damage. Remember, what was safe for you in your 40s might not be safe now that your body processes toxins differently. Have you noticed any scratches on your non-stick pans recently? Share in the comments if you're planning to check your cookware after watching this video. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Item number 2, old plastic storage containers. Those plastic containers you've kept for years, they might be leaching harmful chemicals into your food, especially if you're heating meals in them. My friend Eleanor, a 66-year-old grandmother, used to store and reheat her homemade soups in the same plastic containers she'd had since the 1980s. She started experiencing unusual hormone-related issues that puzzled her doctor until they discussed her food storage habits. The science is concerning. Many older plastic containers contain BPA and phthalates, chemicals that can disrupt hormone function. When these plastics age, get scratched, or are exposed to heat, like in a microwave, they release these chemicals into your food. For seniors already dealing with hormonal changes, these disruptions can exacerbate health issues like diabetes, weight gain, and even cognitive function. What makes this particularly dangerous for those over 60 is that our detoxification systems become less efficient with age, meaning these chemicals stay in our bodies longer and can cause more damage. Here's what to do. First, check the recycling number on your plastic containers. Numbers 3, 6, and 7 are more likely to contain harmful chemicals. Replace old, discolored, or scratched containers with glass, ceramic, or stainless steel options. If you must use plastic, choose newer containers labeled BPA-free and never heat food in plastic. This simple change can significantly reduce your exposure to hormone-disrupting chemicals that your body has a harder time processing now than it did 20 years ago. Have you been using the same plastic containers for decades? Type plastic check in the comments if you're going to inspect your collection after this video. Number 3. Rusty kitchen tools. That slight orange tinge on your old metal utensils and baking sheets isn't just unsightly. It could be introducing dangerous tetanus bacteria and excess iron into your food. Consider James, a 70-year-old who prided himself on using the same cooking tools his mother had given him decades ago. Despite his otherwise careful food preparation, he developed a persistent digestive issue that his doctor eventually traced back to his rusty kitchen tools. Here's the health concern. Rust forms when metal oxidizes, creating the perfect environment for certain bacteria to thrive, including Clostridium tetani, which causes tetanus. Additionally, excessive iron from rust particles can build up in your system, which is particularly problematic for seniors with hemochromatosis or other conditions where iron accumulation is dangerous. For those over 60, this risk increases because our stomach acid production often decreases with age, making it harder for our bodies to kill harmful bacteria that might enter our system through food prepared with rusty utensils. The fix is straightforward. Inspect all your metal kitchen tools, spatulas, can openers, baking sheets, graters, and especially items that touch water frequently. If you spot any rust, it's time to replace them. For quality items you want to keep, try removing light rust with a paste made from baking soda and water. Then thoroughly clean and dry them. Going forward, ensure all metal tools are completely dry before storing to prevent new rust formation. Has this made you think about those old metal utensils in your drawer? Share rusty tools in the comments if you're planning a kitchen tool inspection today. Item number 4. Old wooden cutting boards. That wooden cutting board that served you faithfully for decades could be harboring dangerous bacteria in its cracks and knife marks. Dorothy, an active 75-year-old, couldn't understand why she kept getting stomach infections despite her careful food preparation. Her doctor eventually asked about her cutting board, the same wooden one she'd been using since her wedding day 50 years ago, now covered with deep grooves from countless knife cuts. The science explains why this matters. Wood naturally contains pores, and over time, cutting creates grooves where bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria can hide. Unlike younger adults, seniors have naturally weakened immune systems that make foodborne illnesses not just uncomfortable, but potentially life-threatening. Studies show that deep grooves in wooden cutting boards can harbor bacteria even after washing, creating a breeding ground for microorganisms that standard cleaning can't reach. What's particularly concerning for those over 60 is that our ability to fight off these infections diminishes significantly, meaning what might cause minor discomfort in your 40s could lead to hospitalization now. Here's your action plan. Examine your wooden cutting boards carefully. If you see deep knife marks, cracks, or areas that remain discolored even after cleaning, it's time to replace them. Consider using separate cutting boards for raw meat and vegetables. For new boards, look for bamboo options, which are naturally more resistant to bacteria, or consider glass or composite materials that don't develop grooves as easily. Are you still using wooden cutting boards from decades ago? Type cutting board check in the comments if you're going to inspect yours after watching. Item number 5. Old dish sponges and rags. That sponge sitting by your sink might look innocent, but it could actually be the most bacteria-laden item in your entire home. Take Helen, a 67-year-old who prided herself on her spotless kitchen. Despite her cleanliness, she kept developing minor infections and couldn't pinpoint why until her granddaughter, a microbiology student, tested her kitchen sponge for a school project. The results were shocking. It contained more bacteria than her toilet seat. Here's the concerning truth. Studies have found that the average kitchen sponge contains over 45 billion bacteria per square centimeter, including E. coli and Salmonella. These moist, porous cleaning tools create the perfect breeding ground for microorganisms for seniors with naturally declining immune function. This exposure to concentrated bacteria can trigger infections that younger bodies might easily fight off. What makes this especially dangerous after 60 is that our skin becomes thinner and more vulnerable to bacterial entry, and cuts or small wounds heal more slowly, creating additional entry points for these germs. The solution is simple, but requires consistency. Replace your kitchen sponges weekly or disinfect them daily by soaking in a bleach solution 1 tablespoon bleach to 1 gallon of water for 5 minutes, or by wetting them completely and microwaving on high for 2 minutes. For dish rags, Wash them in hot water with bleach every 1 to 2 days. Better yet, switch to silicone scrubbers which harbor fewer bacteria and last longer. How old is the sponge in your kitchen right now? Share sponge swap in the comments if you're going to replace yours today. Item number 6. Expired spices and herbs. Those ancient spice jars pushed to the back of your cabinet aren't just losing flavor. They could be introducing mold and mycotoxins into your meals. My neighbor Clara, a passionate 78-year-old home cook, couldn't understand why she sometimes felt unwell after eating her own cooking. During a kitchen reorganization, her daughter discovered spice jars dating back 15 years, many showing visible signs of mold when opened. The science is clear. While spices don't spoil in the traditional sense, they do collect moisture over time, especially in humid environments like kitchens. This moisture creates perfect conditions for mold growth and the production of mycotoxins, fungal toxins that can cause serious health problems. For seniors, whose respiratory systems and immune responses are often already compromised, exposure to these mold spores can trigger allergic reactions, respiratory issues, and inflammation. What makes this particularly concerning after 60 is that our sense of smell diminishes, making it harder to detect when spices have gone bad. And because these toxins accumulate in small amounts through regular exposure, you might not connect occasional symptoms to your spice cabinet. Here's what to do. Set aside an afternoon to inspect your entire spice collection. Check expiration dates. Most ground spices maintain their quality for about 2 to 3 years, while whole spices can last 3 to 4 years. Look for discoloration, clumping, or unusual smells. Store new spices in cool, dry places away from the stove, and consider writing purchase dates on containers with a marker. When was the last time you checked your spice cabinet? Type spice check in the comments if you're planning to inspect yours this week. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you are here, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Item number 7. Chipped mugs and dinnerware. Those cherished cups and plates with small chips and cracks aren't just sentimental, they could be harming your health each time you use them. Consider Margaret, a 72-year-old who collected vintage china throughout her life. She started experiencing unexplained digestive problems and low-grade lead poisoning. Her doctor was puzzled until they discussed her daily habits, including drinking tea from her antique, chipped teacups. Here's why this matters. Ceramic glazes, especially in older or low-quality dishware, often contain lead, cadmium, and other heavy metals that can leach into food and drinks when the protective glaze is compromised through chips or cracks. These toxins accumulate in your body over time, leading to symptoms like fatigue, joint pain, cognitive issues, and digestive problems, many of which might be mistakenly attributed to normal aging. For seniors, this risk is heightened because our bodies naturally accumulate more heavy metals as we age, and our elimination systems become less efficient at removing them. Plus, with repeated exposure over decades, the toxic load becomes increasingly dangerous. The solution is straightforward but sometimes emotionally challenging. Inspect all your mugs, plates, and bowls for any chips, cracks, or crazing fine lines in the glaze. If you find damage, retire these items from food use. Perhaps repurpose them as planters or decorative items if they hold sentimental value. For everyday use, choose certified lid-free dinnerware and be especially careful with colorful or hand-painted items, which are more likely to contain heavy metals. Do you have chipped mugs in your cupboard right now? Share mug check in the comments if you'll be inspecting yours after this video. Item number 8. Old coffee makers. That trusty coffee maker that's been with you for years might be brewing more than just your morning cup of joe. It could be serving up harmful mold and bacteria with each pour. Frank, a 69-year-old retiree, couldn't understand why his chronic cough would improve when he traveled but worsen at home. After multiple doctor visits, a home inspection revealed significant mold growth inside his 12-year-old coffee maker that he'd never thoroughly cleaned. The science is concerning. The warm, moist environment inside coffee makers creates ideal conditions for mold, yeast, and bacteria growth. Studies have found that coffee machine water reservoirs often contain more germs than bathroom door handles. For seniors with already compromised respiratory or immune systems, Daily exposure to these contaminants can trigger or worsen respiratory issues, allergies, and other health problems. What makes this particularly risky after 60 is that our bodies become more sensitive to mold exposure as we age, and conditions like COPD or asthma, which are more common in seniors, can be significantly aggravated by daily exposure to mold spores. Here's what to do. If your coffee maker is more than 5 to 7 years old, consider replacing it with a newer model that has fewer hiding places for mold. For your current machine, establish a regular cleaning routine. Run a solution of equal parts water and white vinegar through the machine monthly, followed by several cycles of clean water. Remove and thoroughly clean all removable parts weekly, checking for any visible mold or slime. When was the last time you deep cleaned or replaced your coffee maker? Type coffee check in the comments if you're going to inspect yours today. Item number 9. Old kitchen sponges and brushes. Those crusty baking sheets and muffin tins with baked-on residue aren't just unsightly. They could be exposing you to carcinogenic compounds every time you bake. Barbara, a 75-year-old who loved baking for her grandchildren, was diagnosed with respiratory issues that puzzled her doctors. During a home visit, her healthcare provider noticed her blackened, crusty baking sheets, smoldering slightly in the oven, and identified them as a potential source of her problems. Here's the health concern. When oils and food residues build up on baking sheets and are repeatedly heated at high temperatures, they create carbonized material that can release polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAs, and other carcinogenic compounds. These particles become airborne when heated and can be inhaled or settle on other foods. For seniors whose lungs are already less efficient and more vulnerable, regular exposure to these airborne toxins can contribute to respiratory issues and increase cancer risk. What makes this especially problematic after 60 is that our body's detoxification processes slow down, meaning these harmful compounds remain in our systems longer, potentially causing more damage than they would in younger adults. The solution is twofold. First, inspect all your baking sheets, muffin tins, and oven trays. If they have built up blackened residue that doesn't come off with normal washing, it's time to replace them. Second, adopt better maintenance habits. Line new baking sheets with parchment paper to prevent residue buildup. Wash thoroughly after each use. A paste of baking soda and water works well for stuck-on foods, and replace items every few years with regular use. Are your baking sheets discolored or crusty? Type baking sheet check in the comments if you'll be examining yours after this video. Item number 10, old refrigerator door seals. The rubber seal around your refrigerator door might be harboring dangerous mold that contaminates your food each time you open or close the door. Robert, a 77-year-old with well-controlled diabetes, suddenly started experiencing unexplained blood sugar fluctuations and digestive issues. During a routine home safety check, his visiting nurse noticed black spots on his refrigerator door seal and suggested testing it for mold, which came back positive for several toxic varieties. Here's the science behind the danger. The gasket that seals your refrigerator door is made of porous rubber that traps food particles, moisture, and spills. This creates an ideal environment for mold growth, especially in the folds and crevices. Each time you open or close the door, air moves across these contaminated surfaces and can transfer mold spores to your food. For seniors with weakened immune systems, exposure to these molds can trigger allergic reactions, respiratory issues, and inflammation that exacerbates existing health conditions. What makes this particularly concerning after 60 is that our bodies become more sensitive to mold exposure as we age, and conditions common in seniors, like COPD, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders can be significantly worsened by regular mold exposure. The solution is straightforward. Check your refrigerator gasket for any discoloration, black spots, or slime. Clean it thoroughly using a solution of equal parts water and white vinegar, using an old toothbrush to get into the folds. If the mold keeps returning or the gasket is cracked or damaged, replace it entirely, an inexpensive repair that can significantly improve your kitchen's safety. When was the last time you inspected your refrigerator seal? Share fridge check in the comments if you're going to look at yours today. Item number 11, old, unwashed reusable grocery bags. Those eco-friendly reusable grocery bags you've been using for years might be introducing harmful bacteria directly into your food supply. Consider Susan, a 68-year-old environmentally conscious shopper who started experiencing recurrent gastrointestinal issues. During a conversation with her doctor about possible causes, she mentioned she'd been using the same set of cloth grocery bags for over 5 years, without ever washing them. The health risk is significant. Studies have found that reusable grocery bags can harbor harmful bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria, especially when used for raw meats, unwashed produce, and other food items. These bags collect food residues, moisture, and bacteria from shopping carts and store counters. For seniors whose immune systems are naturally declining, exposure to these concentrated bacteria can cause food poisoning that might be merely unpleasant for younger adults, but potentially dangerous for those over 60. What makes this particularly concerning as we age is that food poisoning can lead to severe dehydration much more quickly in seniors, and recovery times are significantly longer, sometimes requiring hospitalization for what would be a minor illness in younger people. Here's the simple solution. First, designate specific bags for different types of items. Separate bags for meats, produce, and packaged goods. Wash fabric bags in hot water with detergent after each use, or at minimum weekly. For plastic-based reusable bags, wipe them down with disinfectant wipes after each shopping trip. And remember to replace any bags that have visible stains or persistent odors. When was the last time you washed your reusable grocery bags? Type bag wash in the comments if you're planning to clean yours after watching. Item number 12, old kitchen sponges. That dish drainer collecting water underneath your clean dishes might actually be contaminating them with harmful bacteria. Meet George, a 73-year-old widower who prided himself on keeping a clean kitchen. Despite his careful hygiene, he developed several unexplained infections over a few months. His daughter, visiting from out of town, noticed his dish drainer had a layer of pink slime underneath that he couldn't see due to his declining vision. Here's the concerning reality. Dish drainers and racks that don't fully dry between uses become breeding grounds for bacteria, mold, and biofilm. That slimy substance that forms in consistently damp areas. Water that pools underneath can contaminate your freshly washed dishes with these microorganisms. For seniors with naturally weakened immune systems, this constant low-level exposure to harmful bacteria can lead to recurrent infections that might be difficult to trace back to their source. What makes this especially problematic after 60 is that our eyesight often diminishes, making it harder to spot developing mold or slime, and our immune response to these pathogens becomes less robust, increasing infection risk. The solution is simple. Replace old plastic dish drainers with newer designs that promote better airflow and drainage. Clean your dish rack weekly by soaking it in a bleach solution, 1 tablespoon bleach to 1 gallon of water for 10 minutes. Then rinse thoroughly. Consider drying dishes with a clean towel instead of air drying, especially in humid environments. And most importantly, make sure your dish drainer allows water to completely drain away rather than pooling underneath. Is your dish drainer thoroughly dry right now? Share a rack check in the comments if you'll be inspecting yours after this video. Item number 13, old water filters. The water filter that's supposed to be keeping your drinking water clean might actually be making it more dangerous if you haven't been replacing it regularly. Janet, 71-year-old grandmother, couldn't understand why her chronic digestive issues improved whenever she visited her daughter but worsened at home. After several tests, her doctor suggested checking when she last changed her refrigerator water filter. It had been over 3 years, though the manufacturer recommended replacement every 6 months. The science explains the danger. Water filters trap contaminants like lead, chlorine, and bacteria, but they have limited capacity. Once saturated, they can actually release accumulated contaminants back into your filtered water, potentially at higher concentrations than your unfiltered tap water. Additionally, the moist filter environment becomes a breeding ground for bacteria over time. For seniors, whose digestive and immune systems are naturally less robust, drinking from an expired filter can lead to gastrointestinal issues, exposure to heavy metals, and bacterial infections. What makes this particularly risky after 60 is that our bodies become less efficient at processing and eliminating toxins, meaning repeated exposure through daily water consumption can have cumulative negative effects on health. Here's what to do. Check all water filters in your home: refrigerator filters, pitcher filters, under-sink systems, and whole-house filters. Note when they were last changed and compare to manufacturer recommendations, typically 2 to 6 months for most consumer filters. Set up a regular replacement schedule. perhaps coinciding with the change of seasons, to make it memorable. Consider using filtered water not just for drinking but also for cooking, as many toxins don't evaporate when boiled. When did you last replace your water filters? Type filter check in the comments if you're going to inspect yours today. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 13 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Item number 14, old food storage containers with warped lids. Those food storage containers with mismatched or warped lids aren't just annoying, they could be allowing dangerous bacteria to contaminate your leftovers. Take William, an 80-year-old who lived alone and relied heavily on prepared meals and leftovers. He experienced several bouts of food poisoning that left him severely dehydrated. His home health nurse discovered he was storing food in containers with warped lids that didn't seal properly. Here's why this matters. Proper food storage depends on airtight seals to prevent bacteria from contaminating your food. When lids warp from heat, often from dishwashers or microwaves, they create small gaps that allow air and the bacteria it carries to reach your food. For seniors, whose immune systems are naturally less robust, even mild food poisoning can lead to dangerous dehydration and electrolyte imbalances that might require hospitalization. What makes this especially concerning after 60 is that our sense of smell diminishes with age, making it harder to detect when food is spoiled. Additionally, the symptoms of food poisoning can be more severe and longer lasting in older adults, turning what might be a day of discomfort for a younger person into a serious health event. The solution is straightforward. Inspect all your food storage containers and lids. Do the water test, fill containers with water, seal them, and turn them upside down to check for leaks. Discard any containers with warped, cracked, or ill-fitting lids. When purchasing replacements, look for designs with locking mechanisms rather than simple press-on lids for more reliable seals. Are your food storage containers properly sealing? Share container check in the comments if you'll be testing yours after watching. Item number 15, old aluminum cookware. That vintage aluminum cookware passed down through generations might have sentimental value, but it could also be leaching neurotoxic metals into your food. Consider Thomas, a 76-year-old who treasured his mother's old aluminum pots and used them daily. His doctor noticed slightly elevated aluminum levels in his blood work during routine testing. When questioned about possible exposure sources, Thomas mentioned his cherished cookware collection.
Here's the concerning science.
Aluminum cookware, especially older or lower quality pieces, can leach aluminum into food, particularly when cooking acidic foods like tomatoes or citrus. While the body can process small amounts of aluminum, research has linked chronic aluminum exposure to neurological issues and has been studied as a potential factor in Alzheimer's disease. We've covered 15 potential hazards hiding in your kitchen that become increasingly risky after 60. Some might seem small on their own, but remember, it's the cumulative exposure day after day that creates the greatest risk to your health. The beautiful thing about addressing these issues is that most solutions are simple, affordable, and give you immediate results. You don't need expensive renovations or complicated systems, just awareness and some thoughtful replacements. Take a moment today to walk through your kitchen with new eyes. Look at those familiar items you've trusted for years and ask yourself, is this still serving my health needs now that I'm in my 60s, 70s, or beyond? Your body has changed, and your kitchen might need to change too. I'd love to hear about your kitchen discoveries. Did you find any of these toxic items in your home? Which one surprised you the most? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help another person recognize a hidden danger in their own kitchen. If you found this information valuable, please hit the like button to help others find this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more practical advice on creating a safer, healthier environment as we navigate our senior years together. Remember, making these changes isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. You deserve a kitchen that supports your health, rather than compromising it. Small changes today can mean better health for years to come.